We are 1 week away from NBA training camp for most teams. That means the pressure is on for a decision to be made about Damian Lillard. NBA news is hot right now with Damian Lillard trade speculations. What are your thoughts on all the rumors and speculation?
Yeah, Portland, they definitely appear to want to move him before training camp. That's what the reports are saying anyways. They prefer to move on from him by October 2nd when they will be reporting to training camp. And they've definitely leaked that too, because all of a sudden a bunch of teams are coming out of the woodwork and are interested in Damian Lillard. Got everyone from Chicago, Utah, Charlotte, Philadelphia, and now especially the Toronto Raptors too. I mean, who knows if it's all smoke and Portland trying to leak stuff to get Miami to give them a better offer or try to get more teams involved so they can get a better return package, but the Toronto Raptors rumors they're sounding pretty legit right now. And if they're willing to give up a combination of, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, first round draft picks, Grady Dick, they have a lot to offer. They don't want to give up Scotty Barnes, but if the rumors are true, they are willing to give Portland a potential trade haul for 33-year-old Damian Lillard, and that would be a very interesting scenario. And I mean, it would put a lot of pressure on me if I'm Pat Riley in the Miami Heat front office. That would be a better trade offer than Miami alone has to offer Portland, and that would require them to get other teams involved and to really get everything going here before October 2nd, which, like you mentioned, is only about a week away from now.
I mean, here's the thing though. Do you think that Miami, they obviously want Lillard and stuff, but do you think they need him? Do you think the team as it sits right now, they need him to make that push?
That's a really interesting point that I've been seeing floating around on Twitter or whatever you want to call it now, about how they feel confident that they don't need him to win the East. And, they won it last year, but they were only the 8th seed, and they really didn't come close to winning the NBA Finals. I mean, yeah, I would agree from the standpoint that they can make the playoffs. They can probably even be better than last year, because I do think they have a slightly better team now than they did last season. Yeah, I think they can be a top 5-6 seed and make the playoffs even without Damian Lillard. But in order to maximize the kind of small window they have left with Jimmy Butler, they need a guy like Damian Lillard to get over the top. I don't think they're going to win the NBA Finals without a guy like that. I don't even know if they make it back to the NBA Finals without acquiring a guy to fill kind of that big three role for them, or whatever you want to call it. They need an upgrade alongside Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. And I kind of think they should feel pressure to do it.
Yeah, I mean, Dame's just a closer. He's always been, that guy. He's been the big scorer on the team for the most part, and I think even if you put him in Miami, he's still going to be a 25 plus guy. And I kind of want to touch on the Raptors real quick. The big report, like you said this week, is that they're the front runners for landing him. And to me, and I'm talking solely from Lillard's standpoint here and his perspective, how I would imagine it, it just makes no sense and just kind of came way out of left field. And it in no way aligns with his shorter long-term goals, especially like you say, you consider they're probably going to be packaging up Scotty Barnes or Pascal Siakam or OG Anunoby. But, I see a lot of people comparing this to even when Kawhi Leonard was traded. I don't know if you've seen that kind of circling around, and they won a championship immediately that same year. And that's just laughable to me. And not to say that it would never happen, but it's a brand new head coach. It's going to be a completely different atmosphere there. And Miami is, to me, the best fit. And if I'm Damian Lillard, I mean, the punchline we heard all summer is that he wants to win now. He wants to be in a position to win a championship. I think he's got his bag. He's getting to that age where he just wants to win. And with Miami being fresh, that, like you say, that would be it. Adding Dame to this team would definitely put them to that level. And I'm surprised you don't hear anything about maybe other teams, and maybe we just haven't heard about it, like other teams in the East, Boston or 76ers or another team like that, who would, especially with the James Harden drama, maybe trying to make some moves for him and to contend in the East like that. I just think that if I'm Damian Lillard, I don't see how the Raptors are the right fit. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that from the standpoint that if you add Damian Lillard to any team with the trade package that they would likely offer Portland, Miami would instantly become the best team out of all of them, in my opinion. I mean, I like what the Raptors could be with Damian Lillard. I don't think they'd be a true championship contender. And, of course, it would all depend on what they give up here. It would probably be younger guys rather than Pascal Siakam, because I don't think Portland would really want him. I mean, who knows with their current direction, with the contract they gave Jeremy Grant. I mean, who knows? But it would probably, they'd be giving up OG Anunoby, Grady Dick, Gary Trent Jr., and some draft picks. And then what you're putting together Damian Lillard with Pascal Siakam, and I mean, it wouldn't be enough to win a championship. I mean, I don't see it. A lot of people didn't think that the Kawhi Leonard team was good enough right away either. And, you can compare them in that sense where, yeah, people wouldn't think they'd win a championship. But then again, Damian Lillard at 33 is not a do-it-all kind of 28-year-old Kawhi Leonard who is in the absolute prime of his career. Two completely different players. And that's not to take away from Damian Lillard, because he's great. One of the best offensive point guards or combo guards we've ever seen in the NBA, literally ever. But it all comes down to fit here and the team around him, and I don't think Toronto has enough to win it, even with him. Maybe they'd make a couple more moves after that via trade. Who knows how much they'd have left in terms of trade assets. But it just makes so much more sense for Miami to go all in for him compared to any other team I can think of. And we have heard a little bit about Philadelphia, but their situation's so complicated to where they don't even know what they're going to do with James Harden at the moment. I mean, they'd like for him to come back, but they've kind of spoiled that relationship. So it really seems like Portland's trying to put more pressure on Miami, because they know that it just makes sense for them to go all in for Dame much more than it does for any other team.
Right, exactly. So my question for you is, what do you think Miami, like, do you have like a scenario in your head, a max level that Miami will go to get rid of assets basically for Lillard? Do you have an idea of what that would be?
Like a combination of players, you mean?
Correct. Players, picks. How far do you think Miami would go to acquire him at this point?
How far is a really good question, because they've been hiding that really well. There's even been a report that came out, I have it written down here, about how they feel like no pressure to get the deal done before training camp or feel the need to push any harder for it. I think that might have came from Woj, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think they're kind of smoke screening it too, to not have to give up as much. But in terms of their best trade package, we've seen a few hypotheticals. Portland reportedly they don't want Tyler Hero, so you can kind of take that one off the board. They could throw in Kyle Lowry for salary filler, then Jaime Jaquez Jr., Caleb Martin they have to throw in. They have 2 tradable first-round draft picks, and then they just don't have a great trade package on their own, so they're gonna have to include a 3rd, 4th, maybe even a 5th team to get Portland the assets they want. And it's at that point to where, yeah, you can make hypothetical trade scenarios, but you can't picture and really even imagine what a 5-team trade could look like. So I haven't really wasted my time on that. But that would be the one thing I'd say. It will have to be a 3, 4, or 5-team trade for Miami to get this deal done at this point. Miami is really hurting themselves, even though they might not think so. I think at the end of the day, they should feel a little more pressured than they're giving off right now. But I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's like you say, you could sit in a trade machine, an NBA trade machine all day and just imagine what could be done and how little could be done or how big could be done to shake up the entire NBA. And I guess I'm kind of pretty much in the same boat as you are. I think that at the end of the day, it's a business. So Portland's going to want to get the most they can for him, but his contract, what is it, player op next year?
No, they recently signed a new contract, I think a year or 2 ago, so he's got another 2 or 3 years under contract.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, like I said, they can kind of sit on it. The pressure is for Dame, obviously, to get out, and he wants to be out. So it's kind of stuck in that weird limbo where, like you say, Miami probably doesn't think they necessarily need him, so they don't want to give up too much. Portland doesn't need to move him. He wants out, and he's kind of stuck. I'm not sure, how it's going to go. I'm excited to see what happens in the next week, and I hope something does happen. And I don't want to just... I'm big on Damian moving, and I think a lot of people are. He's been trying in Portland for far too long, and I kind of want to see him in some new threads. And I think Miami's it, and I would love to see what happens.
Agreed, 100%. That's my dream destination for him, and I think it's a lot more realistic than Portland or Miami are leading on at this point. But kind of another few things that are interesting with all this trade dynamic going on right now are the other teams that could get involved. We kind of referred to them before, and one of them, Utah Jazz, they've not been quiet about it according to reports, rumors, whatever. They would be happy to get Tyler Hero, whether it would be through a third, fourth, or fifth team trade, and they would get involved with it, or even if Miami would trade him separately, who knows, but they have a lot of interest in Tyler Hero. Maybe they could send back like a Jordan Clarkson, or again, whether they just get involved in the trade or not. That would be interesting to see. I think he'd be a pretty good fit in Utah. They have a really diverse offense over there, and I think they could utilize Tyler Hero a lot better than Miami has lately, kind of making him that second, third option, which by no means is a bad thing, but I feel like they could elevate him a little bit more in Utah. And a couple more like Phoenix, them kind of being a quote-unquote mystery team to help facilitate a trade, and how they've been really interested in Jusuf Nurkic apparently from Portland. I don't know if that would be a separate trade or likely getting involved in the actual Portland-Miami trade hypothetically, and they would be sending out DeAndre Ayton in some form or fashion, likely to Portland, and getting Jusuf Nurkic, potentially additional players in return, and then maybe draft picks too. So yeah, it would just be really interesting to see how this trade could change the entire dynamic of the NBA.